Hello everyone. If you're watching this, you're obviously curious about my 3 million point run in the Red Hulk Scourge, and for that you need just over 300 Scourge points. My current best run actually is actually 346 Scourge points for a run score of a little over 3.3 million. But for the run that's just 3 million, we'll have the Scourges that I'm going to show right now. Dark Resolve 3, Gloating, Power Siphon, Not So Fast, Overcharged, Power Fatigue 1, Pyrrhic Victory, Unkillable, Blinded by Power, Unstoppable Force, Weakened, Dark Rally, Power Fatigue 2, Leader, Butterfly Effect, Off Balance, Vile Resurgence 2, When It Rains, Rope a Dope, and Stay Down. For my 346 point run, the ones I added were Flight or Fight, Too Clever, and Stage Fright. So, with that said, I think it's time to jump right in. So first, I've discovered actually, I need to do a sack attack on the first node. I'm gonna just throw in Winter Soldier, take Spider-Woman's chain ability. I don't know if it's her special ultimate, honestly, and Nico Minoru's area flip. So get those two abilities out of the way, and then we can move on to attack this with plain symbiotes. And the reason we have to hit it with plain symbiotes is because with the two Scourge modifiers that increase energy cooldowns. Oh my god, I already forgot what they're called, but because of that, we need to have SSM or Scream's abilities ready for the second node. And in order for their abilities to be up on the second mission, we have to use them here first. You see, because I took hits from Nico and Spider-Woman in the Winter Soldier solo sack, I can now go straight in with fewer bleeds to deal with, and straight in go ham on Philovel. In my better runs with 326 and 346 Scourge points, I actually did not use Squirrel Girl. I believe it is better to just use straight up symbiotes and have Venom there instead. However, Venom's cooldowns do finish. Venom's cooldowns are full. He's not affected by the energy cost Scourge modifiers because 6 out of 6 becomes 6 out of 7, so he gets the energy on turn. If that's for his ult, just an example. Another thing to mention is that I think the Scourge modifiers for increasing energy costs actually applies to the enemies as well. I can't prove this, but I'll mention it later down. I believe on mission 3 is when I started to notice this. Anyway, you'll see for this, the way I try to handle this one is to kill the fifth enemy, or whoever I need to kill, I don't even know. I try to get Symbiote Spider-Man to stun Bishop. Then this is the strategy I've used moving forward as well. Stun Bishop, and that way everyone gets slowed, and then make sure you take your time killing everyone so that you have Scream's ability, Symbiote Spider-Man's abilities ready at the end of the node. And at this point, I think that's enough said about mission 1, and I can fast forward through the rest. So this time around, the second node is going to be different because while their ultimate abilities have more cost, we've set them up for Scream and Symbiote Spider-Man ideally in the previous node. I think I still ended up saving Symbiote Spider-Man special for Kestrel later on, but I don't think that's necessary. In my newer runs also, instead of focusing on Mordo, I switched the target to Shield Trooper so that Scream can disrupt Cull Obsidian. And note that this time we might not actually get Mordo under 50% because of the blinds I've added on top of the um, he still does die, never mind. But it's possible that you don't get more to under 25% health with just the opening attacks, and you have to rely on Scream's Rewind to make it still possible. Um, Overall, there's more than one way, I guess, to approach the opening of this, of just Mission 2 in general. But for the most part, it's just as symbiotes always work. Once you get the momentum going, it's not that hard to keep it up and just keep dropping enemies low. I think I like to save Venom special for a flip onto Black Bolt and Kestrel once they spawn in the second wave. Uh, and I do want to get rid of Ghost Rider as fast as possible. This right here, also you see, of course, Sharon does have a stun, and she clears immunity and all the other positive effects before it happens, which is why I also do like to now stun Sharon with Symbiote Spider-Man turn 1 instead of whatever defense down trick I used. This way, I might not necessarily have a stun ready for Kestrel when she comes up, but I still should have enough momentum to get her really low and bleed her out before anything dangerous does in fact happen. That is all for Mission 2, and all the updates I think are needed to the strategy this time around, and time to fast forward and move on to Mission 3. Alright, now for some strategic updates to the third mission. You might notice from the team selection screen or the chat log that I've changed all of my raiders on this team, which is Iron Man, Vision, and Deathlock, to strikers or skirmishers, because as raiders, you cannot control when they crit and put out vulnerable markings, and that can make Rope-a-Dope punish you very hard, furthermore because this team is going to get blinded a lot when they use their ultimate, and because of that, they won't be able to clear the vulnerables with striker bonus attacks. Furthermore, another thing to mention off this first wave is you might see at points I stop to think a bit, because I do change my strategy at the beginning here a lot, because of the different Scourges I was adding or not adding. And Moondragon, again, is a problem. This time I've discovered that her ultimate versus her special is a big deal. Her ultimate is actually not as bad as her special. Her special, the problem with her special is not just that it rewinds someone and clears all your buffs, it also puts deflects and defense up onto her other allies. And that can be really annoying when you want to get through these enemies with as much damage as you can. And also blocking Vision's ult clearing buffs can also become a problem. Because of this, I at first was confused, and I thought that the ability cost modifiers affected Moondragon as well for some reason. It's not true. The reason I thought that was because I forgot her ultimate begins on 3 energy, not 4. But the reason I bring this up is because in my later runs, or actually in this run too, I don't use Hulkbuster ultimate turn 1 because I'm saving it for now. So I can immediately slow cloak and get a longer window to put him under ability block. By saving Hulkbuster slow, it means that Moondragon no longer gets the ability energy to ult turn 1 rather than special. And because her special is the more dangerous one, if she's going to be using that, I have to actually kill her with Vision and Hulkbuster basics turn 1 instead of whatever I did earlier in this video. The other reason I use Vision and Hulkbuster Basics instead of Specials, like I think I did here, is because I don't want them to get ability blocked before this moment here when I have to use Hulkbuster to slow everyone and Vision to clear all the enemy buffs, which I think I actually did not do here, and I actually don't know why. But moving on. I think at this point, that's all I need to say about the updates to Mission 3, except for something slightly different that you'll see at the end, so we'll just fast forward to there. So, no doubt you've seen the difference this time around is that I actually lose. However, this is actually possibly a good thing. It's a strategy I discovered in this run and actually helped me immensely on my later two runs because in this case, I can actually just go straight in with Young Avengers and Thor. The team I used to use for Mission 4. Now, if the enemies have a little bit more health at the end of the Bionic Avengers first attack, that's even better for this cleanup attack because it means that you can charge all the way up to Thor's ultimate from this node alone. The other thing is that it's possible on this node to go in with like 4 or 5 enemies left, which I actually did on my 346 Scourge point run, and get most of the Young Avengers to around 55 or 60% health. And this is amazing because if you take that into Mission 5, which I guess or Mission 4, sorry, which we're about to go right into, if Ms. Marvel or Squirrel Girl or Echo are under, like, just over 50% health going into this, there's a very, very good chance that Morbius is going to hit a couple of them. And if Morbius does that, that is free blinds and slows from Kate passive and free turn meter on Squirrel Girl. It's something that I unfortunately don't have the footage to showcase, but if I've explained it well, you should be able to understand what I mean. And basically, what this means is that what I did for Mission 3, like discovering that here, that you can let Bionic Avengers die and just clean up with Young Avengers and Thor, is actually really, really useful. And of course, which I should have mentioned earlier, but Thor, if you can get him to 5 or more energy out of 7 so that he'll have his ult ready on his first turn afterward, in his first turn in Mission 5, then you can actually use America Chavez here for even more turn meter manipulation and the 50% ping pong trick with Healer Squirrel Girl. You'll see I switched Squirrel Girl to Healer for this node, and Kate. This way, it makes this node even easier than Young Avengers can already make it through here. So, yeah, it's a great strategy that I wish I'd discovered earlier. Another thing is that I've heard from some friends on Discord that Young Avengers can beat Mission 3 entirely on their own. I haven't actually tried it. Maybe I should give it a try. But if you found that to work, maybe you don't need Bionics at all. The reason I brought them in was just, I'd already proven that they worked, and also having them high level for the next Scourge for when Death comes around is important anyway. So I wanted to see how they'd work. That is all I believe I need to say for how Mission 4 has changed, and we can now move on and speed all the way to Mission 5. Okay, so now to see what's different on Mission 5 this time around. Unfortunately, my Heroes Guardians, I've had to bring them higher level for this run and my later runs, so it might not be too relatable for many people anymore. I'm sorry for that. Thor is now gear 16, and Valkyrie and Jane are now gear 15, which is a slight increase from the previous node, or not node, my previous run. In this run, I did learn something new though, which is that you don't actually need to use Thor's stun turn 1. You can set him up in missions 4 and 5. You actually don't have to. You don't have to use his stun on this node at all. Instead, you can just use his basic directly to Psylocke. And then if Mighty Thor is the one to go next, when she will give Thor his 5th charge. And if Mighty Thor successfully flips all the defense ups on everyone, as did in fact happen here, Thor passive will hit 5 charges and he will just instantly kill everybody. It's a great way to start this node. It's probably the most consistent, and it's also very fast and efficient. The other, I don't know if there's anything else really to say here, except actually regarding Heimdall. In fact, in my previous run, the 2.5 million run that is also uploaded and commentated, you see I kind of on a whim just waste Heimdall's ultimate ability. That is, not ultimate, his special, his cleanse, which is really dumb. It's better to save him for mission 10, and I'm not sure, I don't remember if this run is the one where it happened, but there was one run where Thor got ability blocked off the bat by Ironheart on mission 10, and because I saved Heimdall's special, I was able to clear the ability block, and that ended up being the best run I could get, and that opener actually was really, really important. So yeah, basically, don't waste Heimdall's cleanse. Let's just go on to mission 6 now. Alright, of course I'm using the Thanos Dormammu cheese once again for mission 6. It is the most efficient team, the fastest one, which is why I'm going to be very like cringe and basic and do that. Now, there is a strategy that I have discovered. I don't even know why it happens. Like, it's either Miss Marvel blocks Emma slow, or like some coin toss, or some RNG maybe. I don't know exactly how it happens, but there is a way that you can get Miss Marvel to take a turn and for her taunt to expire. Either that or like Morgan hits her under 50% health or something. I don't know what it is, but there is a way for Miss Marvel to not have a taunt up at Omega Red's turn, and Omega can kill, usually for me it's Captain Marvel, but it's just whoever has the lowest health on the enemy field, and that actually gives Dormammu the energy to ult turn 1. It really isn't that important. The villain's team here is so overpowered that you can basically kill everyone really fast, but you could probably get like a couple extra turns, which is like I think 12 points per turn of efficiency bonus, if you care about that at all. Alright, so time for a small change to mission 5. This actually inspired by my run from Famine, from Rogue. And I actually switch out Emma for Lady Deathstrike, because Emma actually, of course, she's there for the speed in the previous one, so that Morgan is faster than Captain Marvel. I don't need that here. Emma being here or not being here is not going to change that both Black Panthers will go before Morgan Le Fay. So in this run, I actually just bring Omega Red. I bring Lady Deathstrike for synergy with Omega Red, and just the fact that, well, she is fast and has good damage, and will be better than Emma for the purposes of getting, like, I don't know, again, like a minuscule number of turns saved for like a tiny turn bonus. Other than that, we can go into the skill nodes, which I will actually talk about a little more in depth this time. So for mission 8, it's not too different this time around. I just use Shang-Chi instead of Sharon, and I also tried to exploit the fact that I'm using Rope-a-Dope, the Scourge. That means at the end of a turn, any enemy with vulnerable gets a bunch of positive effects. So I'm actually going to try to be exploiting that with Star-Lord T'Challa. If I can get vulnerables from Zemo, you'll see it once his chain goes here. If he puts a vulnerable marking on Star-Lord T'Challa, then at the end of Star-Lord T'Challa's turn, he's going to get a bunch of positive effects on top of the evade and minor offense up that he already gets from his passive and the other Scourges. Now I should have restarted until Zemo put another vulnerable on, say, Dagger, and used Kestrel to go into her instead. You'll notice I also need Dagger to be slowed so that I get Shang-Chi and Sam to go first. Then Shang-Chi ults into the positive effects that Star-Lord T'Challa has. Everyone pretty much dies. And then the rest of the node is just making sure my cooldown's up for the next node. And for mission 9, what I want to enter mission 9 with is Captain Sam ult, Shang-Chi ult, Kestrel special, and then whatever on Zemo and Maria, ideally cooldowns up. That said, I think that's all for the small changes to mission 8, and then now we get to showcase mission 9 in the most optimal way of beating it, which is with Captain Sam ult ready, which I did not manage in my previous run. For mission 9, the only real difference in this run compared to the previous one uploaded is that I was smart enough to have Captain Sam's ult ready. Now for this, I just want Kestrel to special down the middle, and then for Captain Sam and Shang-Chi, who both have 120 speed, to give the coin toss to Captain Sam to go first for the speed bar. And that is basically all I need for this to play out in this run. In my newer runs that again, unfortunately, I don't have footage of. If with the too clever Scourge that puts ability block after every special ability, that can be a problem, in particular on Maria. If Maria Maria can't use her special if she's about to get energy or a turn to ult and clear all the ability blocks and blinds on the rest of the team. Other than that, it plays pretty similarly, and it's just hoping Shang-Chi and Kestrel just damage through everything here. Now for mission 10, the finale of my 3 million point run. There are a few differences and a few improvements this time around. Notably, Heimdall has a special ready, and the team is pretty much at full health, which means that I can start with a Sif Taunt and defense up, and I can tank a bunch of hits from the enemies, and Heimdall will be able to use his special to clear a bunch of negative effects off the bat. He'll clear heal block, hopefully he'll clear ability block as well. But there is another difference, which is that Heimdall having a special is going to put out more vulnerable markings, and that's why the last improvement for this node is that I have Mighty Thor as a striker. While it does possibly sacrifice some damage for not compounding a Raider on top of Heimdall's extra crit chance, having Mighty Thor as a striker clears both vulnerables and extra positive effects, which is a two-way counter for the Rope-a-Dope Scourge, which can really mess you up if the defense ups come up at a bad time. Now after that, it basically starts to play out the same way as the last run you have seen from me, which is obviously you want Valkyrie passive to go off, and then you rely on Mighty Thor to clear all the defense ups from the second wave, followed by Thor ults and passives to deal a bunch of damage. A final note on this node is that there can be multiple viable setups to start off. You'll have to find one that works for you, that you like and can win consistently. But one last tip that I have found to be useful is, I think many people know this by now, but in case you don't, the butterfly effect Scourge that spreads positive effects off of fortifiers also affects the player team. So in some nodes, not just this one, if you have a character as a fortifier, when they ult, they will spread their positive effects to their allies that are next to them, which means that Sif, who I think is ideally I think a fortifier is the ideal ISO class on her anyway. It means that you, in some cases, putting her in the center to spread more positive effects to your team may be a very viable and useful strategy. I have not used Fortifier on anyone else in my previous nodes, except for there was one run where I did change Viv to a Fortifier. It was probably not a good idea because you give up a bunch of deflects on her ISO bonus attack, but that is completely irrelevant to this node. Now, I think that sums it all up for this run. We're nearing the end, so that's my cue to sign off. I hope you enjoyed this video, or it helped you in any way. If so, of course, you can let me know in the feedback options below, and you can stick around to see where this ends me on the leaderboard. However, since I do have better runs now, my best run is 3.3 million, and as of the time I'm recording this, which is nearly 2 days after this run was run you're seeing was recorded, I am currently in approximately 380th with 3.3 million points. Once again, thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.